Hi, this is Michelle, and I just wanted to go over a little bit about exercise 4.6 that people have been having trouble with this term. So in exercise 4.6, we start looking at electronic databases and searching them to see if we can find articles for our patrons. So let's do a couple of examples here, and we can maybe go over a couple of the problems people are having. In exercise 4.6 question 1, we are looking for information on the Tim Hortons franchise. So there's a number of databases we can use. Let's just close this here and go to our databases. There's two good business databases. There's Business Source Premier and there's Canadian Business and Current Affairs. And I thought I'll start with Business Source Premier and see what kind of information we can get. And then from there we can also go to Canadian Business and Current Affairs. I'm assuming we might get more information there because it's Canadian. So I've already typed in Tim Hortons in the advanced search field. If you're not in the advanced search field, you're not going to have all of these options. And a couple of people have been telling me they tried searching Tim Hortons as a subject, which does make sense because if you're searching Tim Hortons just as a keyword, you're going to find Tim Hortons anywhere in an article, and it might not be about Tim Hortons. It might just have it as a phrase somewhere in your article, which isn't what you want. So people were kind of on the right term when they said right idea when they were looking for subject headings. The problem is we don't know if Tim Hortons is a subject heading. So you have the option, you can go to the Library of Congress Subject Authorities database, which we've already done in the last assignment, and look to see if Tim Hortons is a Library of Congress subject heading. Or, to make life a little bit easier, you can go here to the Thesaurus, which is the same as the subject headings for this database. So let's look it up and see if it's here. So let's look up Tim Hortons. And you'll see that Tim Hortons is not listed as a subject heading in this database. That means, let's go back a little bit here. If we try and search Tim Hortons as a subject heading, we should get 0 articles. See? No articles found. So, in the business databases, you'll see another option that you have is company entity. And that means it's going to search for every article where Tim Hortons is talked about as a company. So let's do the search here. Now, one thing I'd also like to point out to you, the default for most of these databases is full text searching. So that means you're only going to find the articles that the full text is available. If you just want to find all articles on a topic, then click off full text search. So let's search here and see how many articles we get where Tim Hortons is the company that they're talking about. So we have 355 articles here where Tim Hortons is talked about as the company in an article. If you wanted to continue, they wanted something about Tim Hortons financial information, you could say financial information and just look that up as perhaps a keyword in the article and maybe narrow it down. So here we've narrowed it down to 45 articles. The other thing you could do is even look up financial as maybe somewhere in the title and see if that works. There you go. You're only getting 2 articles where they're talking about Tim Hortons and it's something to do with financial information. That's how I would narrow it down, because before, when we were just looking at Tim Hortons as a company, you had over 300 articles. So let's try and narrow it down just a little bit more for our patrons so they don't have so many articles to wade through. The other thing that you can do is you can go through the search options. These are what we also call limits. And we could limit it to a certain publication date. So we could maybe limit it to the last what would it be, about 3 months? So 2017 to March 2017. See how many articles? Probably not very many articles just in the last 3 months, but let's check and see. Only 5 articles on Tim Hortons in the last in this year, in the last 3 months. You could limit it by the number of pages that an article is. Let's click off this. We could limit it. So if somebody says, I only really want short articles, I don't want to be reading long articles, you could do that. If you want to limit to a certain type of article, so you want it to be only, say, interviews, or you want it to only be letters to the editor or something like that, you could do that. So these are a lot of different ways that you can limit your search for your patron. Okay, so that would be how I would do question 1. And then I think everybody was pretty good at figuring out, once you got the articles that you wanted, how to give me the first 10. So we won't go into that. Let's look just quickly at maybe the next question and see how people were doing that. My sister was diagnosed with arthritis and looking for information on the treatment of this condition. Again, let's go back to our databases, and because they didn't know a lot about medical issues, they weren't a doctor or something, we're going to go and we're going to use Thesaurus Consumer Edition, because that's meant for people who don't know very much about medicine. It's all in easy to understand terms. And again, let's go to advanced search. They're looking for arthritis. Again, let's look in our thesaurus. Oh no, it's our dictionary. Sorry, our thesaurus up here. And see if arthritis is a subject heading. It is. Arthritis is a subject heading. And if we go a little bit down here, we can see that arthritis treatment is an actual subject heading. So let's choose that, and let's search that. So we're searching arthritis treatment as a subject heading, and we're getting over 500 articles. So again, in this case, we're going to have to try and narrow it down for our patron. In this case, let's make it full text only. So if our patron decides that they like one of these articles, then we can actually give them the entire article. We could see what other subjects are available here. Maybe they'd like information just on pain management, or yeah, let's do pain management. That would be a good one. Okay, so in this case, we've narrowed it down. They're interested in information on treatment for arthritis, and we've narrowed it down for just treatment for pain. So, yes, pain treatment, pain management, and we're only looking for full text. So those would be the limits that we would say that we used when you write it out. And we've got it down to 11 articles, and we can get the first 10 and use those for our final answer for the question. So this would be how I would do it. Some people were just saying that they were having trouble seeing where the subject headings or the thesaurus is up here at the top, and they were having trouble deciding on how to use this pull down menu in order to choose how they were going to search each field. So that's all I really wanted to point out to everybody. If anybody has any questions about using any of the databases, or how to use limits for any of the databases, or how to download articles, or anything else, please email me or leave a message in the discussion forum, and I will get back to you. Thanks very much. Have a good night.